Yo, what to do, YouTube? It's your boy ColtsTalk. We are back with another video, and we are recapping. We're going to do a quick recap. I'm not going to have you here all day, well, all night, wherever you're watching this video. Recapping Chris Ballard's off-season's press conference. They usually hold these things. They did one last year. They do it annually, but this year was a little bit different despite of what we went through this season. Despite of what we went through this season, and we were waiting for answers for this day for a very long time. And Chris Ballard, they held it at one point. They was talking about not hosting it to the media, and then at the last minute they said, the media is available, so they had it all over YouTube, Twitter, Colts.com, on the app, all that good stuff. So we're gonna go over that really quick and just recap our thoughts about what Ballard said and what he meant and what he could possibly do. So going forward, the opening. He mentioned how he failed. He said, "I failed. I'm not going to sit up here and make excuses. Failed a lot of people. Highly disappointed, and we were how we were how the season went. I never take lightly what's at stake here. It's not about wins and losses. People's lives are on the line. Players, coaches, families, front office, people in the building. And I don't ever take that lightly. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed at where we're at, and ultimately it falls on my shoulders. I won't walk away from that. I won't run from it. Saying that we'll grow from it, and we'll grow from it, and I'll get better at it. Unfortunately, our greatest moments in growth, at greatest times of growth, happens in the darkness, and you got to keep your eyes open and see the light. We had some rough moments this season, thinking about it, where we're at, how we got where we're at, and the mistakes I have made, and that there's only one way. You got to go through it. You can't avoid it, and you can't go over it. You can't go under it. You got to go through it. That's the only way you're going to grow. I believe in our people. I believe in our process. They're really smart, good people in the building, and I believe going forward we'll prove that. And I know there's no doubt. There should be criticism regarding my job and what I've done is warranted, but I've not lost any confidence in what we can build here. We live in a world where failures are not allowed. It's not allowed. When you fail in this world, you get canceled, or everybody wants your head. Colts fans, and rightfully so in some cases. But if you're able to go through it and you grow from it, and you reach your greatest heights, and I think we will. All the things written and said, most of it's warranted. We didn't perform well enough, and it falls on me. So this is him taking credit, basically, taking blame for the lackluster season that the Colts had. And of course, that's kind of guaranteed at points like this. A lot of people knew that he was going to take blame. A lot of Colts fans think that he said the same thing last year, but this year's a little different. I do believe Chris Ballard in every word that he meant. Of course, I don't think you can. I wouldn't solely put all the blame on Ballard, because he wasn't even in full control of all season and the process and what he wanted to do. I mentioned last year, Ballard wanted to get Justin Fields, but last minute things, they wound up getting Carson Wentz, and that was pretty much a terrible idea, and he just had to go through with it. Of course, he makes the calls, but I don't think it was solely on his decision. So, moving forward in these quotes, I do, like I said, I respect Ballard for taking the blame for what he does, but I'm not going to put it all on Ballard. I think we all know who the prime suspect is regarding this situation. Moving forward, he did mention the quarterback controversy. He said, looking back on it, when you're changing quarterbacks every year, it's tough. It's tough on everybody. It's tough on the team. Not getting position settled has a little something to do with it, and that's no indictment on any of the quarterbacks we have. Looking back early in the season, we have some changes to the offensive line, and that was our struggles occurred early, and we just never really recovered from them. And it took us a while to get some continuity. I probably underestimated that. We had been so good up front for the last few years. I thought that with three really good players we had coming back in Braden Smith, Ryan Kelly, and Quentin Nelson, that I would absorb those other positions and they would come up to speed right away, and it just didn't occur that way. That's a mistake. Now I will say mid-season, I didn't think the line played. I did think the line played better. I thought that they played better down the stretch, and I know they've taken a lot of criticism, but down the stretch, that wasn't the reason we were losing. It is a fickle game, and I know people say that all the time, but more games are lost than won. We lost them. You cannot be minus 13 in turnover ratio and win. You can't do it. You can't be 32nd in the league and third in the red zone and win. And I think our defense, we either finished 30 or 31st in the red zone. Those are key areas of the game that you just have to be able to perform to win. There's a way to win in every game. I think you could look at the playoffs and teams that rebounded from a year ago, and everybody said they stunk, and now they're in the playoffs. Those teams that got in, they didn't lose those games. We lost the game. You can't turn the ball over. You have to execute in the red zone. You get those opportunities, and we didn't. So yeah, I agree. Our team did stink this year, and a lot of teams that were bad this year got better this year, and they're in the playoffs. The Seattle Seahawks, for example, that is a prime example of teams like that that are that's not even supposed to be there. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they're like early in redeveloping and revamping their team, and they had a very good season in my opinion personally. So and that just comes to prove that if you got the right people in place and you do everything in the right process, you're just going to have yourselves a good season. And the Colts really, they got last minute options, and the offensive line has some holes that they couldn't fill, and it just happened to be, a very, very terrible season. And now I will give credit to the offensive line; they did get better in my opinion. But our Ryman is definitely stepping into his own. I think he'll have a good second season, and I just think they made those changes way too late. And I do think that the head coaching was not really the issue; everything else was the issue. But I think he was just that option. It was time for him to go regardless, but I do think he was not the biggest issue in the Colts' struggling season. So moving forward, we're gonna go down and talk about Jim Irsay's decision. It said on Jim Irsay's decision to have hurt the franchise. He said, "No, we have some long talks, and they had a long talk Sunday. I don't. He's been doing this a long time, and he's got good feel for this, and every decision that he has been made." We've talked through, and I don't think it hurt us. No, ultimately, it falls on my shoulders. I do not agree with that. I do think when a owner like Jim Irsay has pretty much a say in certain things that the GM is supposed to be doing, I do think that kind of hurts how the direction of the team's going to look, because the GM's not really having the calls that he's supposed to be having. I think Irsay should be more of an owner and let the guys that do their positions actually do their positions. We might see some success out of it because they might know a few things or not. If we would have made a few calls or made a few moves that was supposed to be made seasons ago, we probably wouldn't be in this position. I think this quarterback carousel thing should have been solved 2 seasons ago. I think it should have been solved immediately after Luck retired. We probably should have rebuilt it right after that instead of going through veteran quarterbacks and believing that we can still win the division and make the playoffs, when that's totally not true, because we did it only once since Luck retired, and we've been pretty much mid ever since. So I do think Philip Rivers was probably the only good option out of that quarterback carousel since Luck retirement, and I do think we should have probably rebuilt it since that point. Now, a lot of people might take credit and say, "Oh, it wasn't a lot of QBs in that draft that since Luck retired that you probably would win as a franchise quarterback." I would disagree. You never really know what you're getting until you actually go out there and take that risk. Starting veteran quarterbacks time and time again after moments, especially ones that are on their downfall of their careers, is probably going to hunt you. And that's what it's been doing since that moment. And now they're probably trying to now figure it out, which is a great idea, because hopefully they can figure it out and get all of this stuff adjusted. We can go through the dark days and finally see the light and start winning again, because I think that's the goal for every Colts fan. They just want to see some W's and actually want to go to Lucas Oil Stadium and see some good football. Am I right? All right. So, and Chris Ballard, he mentioned how, on his job security, he said, "I don't ever have to worry about that. I come to work, I give you everything I got. I don't shortchange anything, and I don't worry about it, let go and fired. I do the best I can, and even with the best laid plans sometimes, even the best thought out plans, they don't work sometimes. And they don't. It didn't work last year. I'm not going to sit up here and make excuses for that. I'm not going to make excuses for having a job. I got my job, and I got to do my job better." And I agree. Everybody has a job to do, and they got to be better at it, especially when you look at the whole team's perspective. Everybody got to step up to the plate. It's not just on Chris Ballard. So I'm just going to take some slack off of him and say that he's not the only one that has to do their job and actually step up to the plate. And it is what it is at the end of the day. He did talk about Jeff Saturday. He said he's going to be a candidate. Brace yourselves, Colts fans. He said he's going to be a candidate, and I told Mr. Irsay that when he made this decision and we talked to Jeff, I voiced my concerns, which were, look, this is unprecedented, and we're putting him into a really tough situation here. He's taking the team over mid-season, and it's going to be tough, and I wanted to make sure he understood that, and I had the same talk with Jeff. Here's what I know about Jeff. He's smart. He's a good teammate. He is a leader. Those things are real. Now, you can't do wholesale changes when you come in week 8. That stuff starts in April. Your vision and everything you want to do, that's built over time, over and over the years. It'll be interesting to hear. He'll go through the process like everybody else. It'll be interesting to hear this vision and how he wants to build it, and he'll go through the whole process. So there's no more speculation. It's definitely going to be Jeff Saturday as a candidate moving forward to be head coach for the Indianapolis Colts. I know a lot of Colts fans don't want to hear it, including myself, because there's so many other candidates that you can go with besides Jeff Saturday. I mean, Jeff Saturday, he can be a good coach down the road, but I think he should go through the carousel like everyone else. I think he should try to develop some experience. Going through certain positions like an offensive line coach. I think he can start there because he did a very great job with the offensive line. I would give him credit for that. But controlling a whole team, it takes a lot. You got to build your staff. He doesn't really have connection like that. Then when you look at who's available for staff for head coaching interviews, I think they are miles ahead of what you can do potentially for a team besides Jeff Saturday. Like I said, I do like him as a coach and as a leader, but I do think he should start at the bottom and build his way up. I mean, build some foundation and some type of credibility so you know that this is the guy you will want to be your coach for a few years to come. And that's just how I think personally. Like I said, it's nothing taken away from him, but I do think there's other guys that are a little bit more credible and knowledgeable of that position than Jeff Saturday. So moving forward, he's talking about Saturday. And he mentioned how for head coaching for the Colts, it won't be you don't really have to be knowing everything. You don't have to have experience. Mentioned that. Mentioning the trading up for a pick. A lot of Colts fans are mentioning Chicago Bears Justin Fields and trading up in the draft or trading down in the draft. They did mention that. He said yes. If we thought there's a player that we've driven to get to make the franchise and the team better, that's what we'll do. So he's not knocking it off the table to trading up for the Chicago Bears pick, to getting the first pick in the draft, to getting that quarterback that's available. A lot of Colts fans and a lot of people are talking about Will Levis to the Colts, but you never know. The sky's the limit, and the Bears do have the number one pick, and it's not so sure that they need to draft a quarterback, and Will Anderson might drop. So there's a possibility that they can trade down and acquire some talent to build around Justin Fields. They talked about Matt Ryan, Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr. as the number one receiver. All of this is yada, 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 things we already know. So that pretty much sums up the speech, pretty much recapping the season. And, shout out to everybody that was there, asking the tough questions to Chris Ballard and about all the situations going on with the Colts. If you guys want to stay updated with those things, there's a lot of articles and stuff that keeps you posted about this recap. Everyone's writing articles. Rashard McGinnis, Destin Adams, Zach Kiefer, Kevin Bowen of The Fan. All of those guys, you just look up Chris Ballard recap of all season, and all of those links will pop up. I'm pretty sure you'll find it all over the place. But I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts in the comment section. What do you think about Chris Ballard's post conference? If you did watch it live, let me know what your thoughts. Did you believe him? Did you not? And what do you think we should do with the draft pick? Should we move up or not? Let me know all those things in the comment section. This is Marcus, and until next time, you've been Culture Shock.